Hi everyone, this is Deborah. If you like my new shirt, it's a little see-through. I still haven't unpacked my car from my latest trip, and then I got to turn around and pack again. And this is the bad thing about traveling. If you haven't done it as often, I have to keep 3 different size clothes in my closet, size 8, size 10, and size 12. I fluctuate that much. Well, I have to try on like 40 pairs of pants, separate them, and I have to mark them on the inside tag so I don't ever have to do this again, because I actually fluctuate that much in 6 months. So that is the biggest thing I have to do. As you see, there's a pair of pants that I am giving away right there, if you see it back there. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about, a lot of you ask what's wrong with me and what is my disability. Well, my first indication that something wasn't right is when I was living in my summer home. I guess that was 2007. I lived there for 3 years. Was my buttocks were going numb when I was walking up the stairs carrying one of my dachshunds. He happened to be the heaviest of the dachshunds. And I remember my whole buttocks was going numb. And I go, this is weird. I've never felt this before. And I wasn't really in that much pain. It was just bothersome. And then as I was walking, out of my neighborhood, onto the main streets in Ocean City, all of a sudden my whole right leg would go numb. And it got so bad that I was like almost dragging it. I looked like that mummy in those old black and white movies. So I went and asked for an MRI. I was in a lot of pain by that time. They really said, oh no, you're gonna wait 12 hours. Well, I said, I'm not leaving till I get it. And so they put me in the machine, and as I was coming out, I noticed the radiologist had a very bad look on his face. It was so bad that they called in 2 doctors. And I had to call in my husband from Fredericksburg to come and talk with the doctors. It was that bad. And I read the list of everything wrong with my back. It actually went down one page and down another. And so they come to find out I had a herniated disc and a slip disc. And I had bone spurs, you name it. I had everything. Fast forward a little bit. I also applied for disability during this time. Now, the paperwork involved is a little horrendous, but if you break it down a little bit a day, because I was in so much pain, I couldn't even sit at my desk for any length of time. So I broke it down over a 2-week period, and it took me longer to gather all the data than it did to do the online. Everything's online nowadays. So I just submitted an X-ray, MRI, and I got it within 4 months. It was hands down not disputable, and I didn't pay a lawyer. I did all the paperwork myself. So the diagnosis was, of course, degenerative disc disease. Now, everybody has a little bit of this when they get, in their 50s. And I'm almost 64 now. So I did some research. It took me 2 years to find a doctor that I thought was great. And my mom said, get a neurosurgeon who's also an orthopedic, which I did. And his name is Christopher Saveri. He is in Reston, Virginia, Enova Fair Oaks. And he was on I probably could grab his pictures, on the Best Doctors of Northern Virginia. So he did a discectomy on me, and a laminectomy and a spinal fusion. They fused, I guess, 2 different vertebrae. I have 6 rods in my back. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, how was the success of that? Well, I went from a pain level of 8 with not even being able to walk. I can walk now, but my pain level stays around a 3. It will always be like that. Now, what happens when you have a fusion is what goes on above that and below it will also cause pain, because it's not giving, if you understand what I'm saying. And so you only do this as a last resort when your quality of life is not there anymore, and mine was not. So right after the surgery, it took twice as long because the doctor said my back was a mess. They made me walk up and down stairs immediately afterwards, and I wore the little girdle for 3 months. And mostly that is in case you fall, that you don't mess up the doctor's work, because on the 13th day after my operation, I fell through some rotten deck boards on my dock, because I used to live, I call it the broccoli farm. I lived in an old mansion on the water, and there was like 20 duck blinds, and some of the boards was rotten, and when I fell through only on one leg, my son happened to be there, and he screamed, "Oh, Mom!" I've never heard him scream so bad. And I told him, I said, when you pick me up underneath here all at once, or you will mess up the screws and rods in my back. Now, the screws are this long. And the only thing that really bothers me is when I'm driving, those screws, I can feel in my back as I'm driving. So a lot of my relatives and friends say, "Oh, you never visit me." Well, they don't feel the pain that I have when I drive. But I am able to work maybe 3-4 hours, limited. And so if you're experiencing some weird situations, some weird feelings in your legs, or your back, get it checked out. And let's see, what else can I tell you? The scar is like this long, and I listened to the doctor. I followed his instructions. It's the people who have the surgery who do not follow the instructions that they have consequences later on. So listen to the doctor. He knows what's best. And then 2 years ago, I was limping bad at my part-time job, and it was becoming embarrassing. So at first I thought maybe the apparatus, all the hardware in my back was failing. But when I went to the doctor, they told me I needed a new hip, and he showed me where I had bone on bone. Now, if you wait too long, if your hip is hurting you, and I thought it was just my groin, I thought maybe it was my ovaries hurting or something like that, but no, if it's hurting you on the side, near where your bathing suit would be, that is probably your hip. And that's what happened to me. It was my hip. I had no idea. So the minute I had the anterior hip replacement, I chose the ceramic because that should last my lifetime if I live 20 years. The minute, now that pain was even more intense than my back. The hip pain is horrible. I would lay in the bed and cry every night. That's how bad it was. The minute that operation was over, it was heaven sent. No pain at all. Of course, for 10 or 11 days, I kept ice on it. Actually, I watched the Ice House Truckers during my rehab, and my granddaughter, who you've met in one of my videos about last month, she, God bless her soul, she's been there for every operation that I've had, and she stood by me during all of this. She's been a heaven sent. So it's very important that you have someone like that, because you can't drive, you're under medication. So yeah, I have no pain at all in that hip. Now, once in a while, if I twist my legs just a little bit different, I will feel just a pinch. But other than that, it is a great success. I highly recommend it. Okay? Bye. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Hit that little bell, and every time I post something, you'll get an alert if you are getting alerts on your phone. So thank you. Bye.